Today what I wanted to do is start a series of critical health information. It's going to be a 5-part series, and the reason I've been thinking about this for several weeks because I've had a lot of people asking me about their immune system and about sickness and different things. In the past we used to do workshops on Saturdays, but we haven't been able to meet as a group. Basically what I want to do today, this information I'm going to be sharing is, and this is why I call it critical health, is because this isn't just things that, hey, this is a good idea for some improvement. These are things that are actually essential and critical, especially right now during this pandemic. So first of all, what we're going to be covering today, and I'm going to do this fairly brief, I hope we don't run on too long, but the first one's going to be on the central nervous system. How the central nervous system is so important with your immune system, especially in this COVID environment, but also in stress, headaches, pains, different things. So what we're going to do to start, first of all, I'd like to bring across this idea of healthcare versus sick care. In a system that we have, we think of healthcare being including our hospitals and our doctor's offices, which as a system that is true. But when you're really thinking about health versus sickness, we don't go to a hospital because we're healthy. You go there if you're sick or you have a concern or you're afraid of something, an injury, etc. Same with the doctors, the medical doctor's office. So there is a big difference between health and sickness. Healthcare is technically doing everything you can to prevent sickness. So it's a lifestyle choice. Now, unfortunately, a lot of times, as I've practiced around the world in 4 different countries, a lot of people think that health, it basically means you don't have pain. So a lot of times people will say, well, I don't feel any pain. I ask them, have you ever seen a chiropractor before? Or somebody else will ask, well, I haven't needed one because I don't have any pain. Or I don't have numbness or tingling or tension, or I don't have dizziness or headaches. And so a lot of times we're assessing our health by what we're actually feeling. So the other questions are, you should be asking yourself, do I have high blood pressure or low blood pressure? Do I have diabetes or gastric digestive problems? Do I have difficulty sleeping or resting? Do I have fatigue? Am I tired? Do I have memory problems? And of course, flus and allergies and sinus problems. So sometimes we think that just because we don't have any of these symptoms that we are healthy, which unfortunately isn't true. So sick care basically then is when you wait until you have a condition, a disease, or a symptom, and then we seek temporary relief. And I say temporary because typically when we go to a medical doctor or a hospital or we get physio or we have a surgery, that's for temporary relief. That's not necessarily correcting the problem. And so that's why people take medicines and they're redoing them over and over again. Healthcare is actually prevention. Healthcare is not waiting until you have sickness or until you have pain or any other type of condition. So you're preventing these, and it's a lifelong strategy. It isn't something that you do just once. It takes a lot of care, it takes a lot of focus. These are things like exercise, how much rest, nutrition, what are our habits, our lifestyle choices, and of course our central nervous system. And that's what we want to talk about that today. That's what we want to focus on is healthcare. Now, one thing that is interesting, especially during this pandemic, has been very, very obvious that all experts from around the world agree that the single very best treatment for any type of a disease or condition, the single number one best thing you can do is prevent it. Prevention is the key. And when you hear people talk about COVID, for example, you hear people saying that it's our immune system. We wonder, why is it elderly people that are getting these sicknesses? Or people who are, as they say, immunocompromised, or they have a pre-existing condition. What do these people have in common that somebody else doesn't? We're all exposed to viruses, we're all exposed to illness, bacteria, and different types of stress conditions. But some people get sick, or some people have these conditions. And so what we want to do is, how can we prevent? And all the doctors will say, we need to prevent the problems. That's why we're washing our hands and we're safe distancing and we're doing all of these things, masks and so forth. Those are one aspect, but nobody's talking about how to boost the immune system. How do we strengthen it so that we prevent the disease in the first place? And so you've heard this probably said before, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Okay, so we have prevention over here is worth a lot of costs medical costs, lifestyle changes, possibly even death, and sometimes permanent health issues. So prevention is obviously the key. So the question is, how do we do this? How do we boost the immune system? How do we stay healthy? In order to stay healthy, we must have a healthy immune system to maintain and prevent disease. We know this. That's what fights off. There are many conditions. This comes from the CDC, the Center for Disease and Control and Prevention. Many conditions and treatment can weaken a person's immune system, making them immunocompromised. We've been hearing a lot about this in the news. Increasing the risk of severe illness from COVID. People with weakened immune systems, you're going to keep hearing this over and over again, are at higher risk of getting severely sick from the SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, or they may also remain infectious for a longer period of time than others with the COVID. So we want to talk about how to do this. A weakened immune system. This is some of the things that we don't understand. We know that as far as viruses and infection in our lungs and our sinuses, our immune system is important. But we don't stop and think about our organs. Cancer is related to a weakened immune system. Cardiovascular disease, high and low blood pressure, diabetes, kidney problems, disc degeneration, pain and arthritis, those are related to our immune system. Thyroid dysfunction, allergies and sinus problems. We have muscle tension. Who do you know that has muscle tension? Skin conditions, memory loss, fatigue, people that are moody or they have disrupted sleep. These are all signs of sickness. This is when the disease is here. So by the time we wait until we have one of these conditions, our immune system's already been compromised. This could have been prevented quite simply, and that's what we want to talk about. So unfortunately, this is sick care. This is when people go to get relief to a hospital or a doctor for some type of temporary relief or medication or intervention. So what is the immune system in the first place? This might help understand how we prevent these conditions. So the immune system is spread throughout our body. It involves many cells, organs, proteins, and tissues. Crucially, it can distinguish our tissue from a foreign tissue, so bacteria and viruses, from self or non-self, from dead or faulty. So when we get sick or injured, we're trying to replace those dead or damaged cells, and the immune system is what recognizes those and clears them away. So the immune system has everything to do with pain, your ability to heal from an arthritic problem, a frozen shoulder, a kidney infection, a back pain, a headache. It's all part of the immune system. The most vital component of the central nervous system, the immune system, is the central nervous system. The central nervous system is the master system. It controls and regulates every function of every cell, every tissue, and every organ in the body. So if we have proper communication without interference from the nerve, from the brain, to the organs and back, we stay healthy. Not only that, if we do for some reason get sick, which some of us will, those with a healthy central nervous system fight the disease much quicker. That's because the immune system consists of organs and cells, and the central nervous system controls those. The reason why we talk so much about our spine is your spine is our lifeline. It is what literally protects our spinal cord. We can't live without a spine. You only get one of these in our entire life. You can't replace them like a knee replacement or hip replacement. And we can't be healthy if it's not healthy. You can't even stand up without a spine. It's that critical. And so without it, we're going to be sick, we're going to have immune problems, we're going to have pain and all kinds of issues. So we have to take care of this. Inside the spine is the spinal cord. Very delicate, very sensitive, and so the brain communicates through all of these nerves down through the spine and out to the body. And if you have interference, or what we call subluxations, which we'll talk about, that's going to change the function of your organs and ultimately our health. So here's the central nervous system. To have health, we must remove all nerve interference if we're going to maintain health, and that includes our immune system. So as the nerves come down through the spine, you can see they're nice and healthy. If we have a subluxation or interference, we're going to be immune compromised or have structural injuries or problems. So a subluxation is the medical term for a spinal nerve interference. The joints, a vertebrae, or it become misaligned or malfunctioning. That's what we call subluxated. They cause nerve interference leading to decreased immune system response, organ and cell function, and ultimately disease. So if you really think about it, a subluxation is a sickness in your body. Our lungs or our sinuses get sick, they swell, we have mucus and phlegm, we cough, we sneeze, we fever, but you can have sickness in your joints. We don't think about that. Inflammation, pain, muscle tension, muscle spasms, dizziness, all of those symptoms means there's sickness That's not normal. And so if you have a subluxation or a misalignment in your spine due to stress and these types of things, which we'll talk about, it can compromise your immune system. So the single number one thing is our immune system, and here's how common this is. There's more common causes than just these, but posture is probably one of the number one. And especially right now during this COVID where people are working from home, they have different workstations, they're working on laptops, their postures are bad, which is why we're gonna do one of these workshops on that. But posture will interfere with central spinal nerves and the central nervous system. So stress, anybody with stress, emotional stress, chemical stress, physical stress, traumas, slip and falls, these all cause subluxations. And so there's only one way to correct a subluxation. And I repeat, only one way. This is the critical part, and that is chiropractic adjustments. Although physio and exercise and yoga and all these things are good, those are just adjuncts to the adjustment. The only way to mobilize and remove interference at all ages, infants, elderly, anybody, is with a spinal manipulation from a chiropractor. This is why it's so important that we do this. So it's impossible to fix anything structural with a chemical. So that's why they put braces on people's teeth, is because you cannot take a Panadol and straighten your teeth. You cannot take medicines or have injections to straighten your spine. So it's essential, this is the essential part, to get your spine and your entire family's spine checked and adjusted by your chiropractor frequently and consistently. This isn't you get adjusted one time or 10 times and now I feel great. This is something we need to do for the rest of our life. And if you really understand how the immune system works and what health really is, you will want your entire family, you will want your friends and coworkers getting checked frequently and consistently. And it depends on the condition, and that's why we have evaluations to help people to know how often they need this. But it's just like exercise. You have to do it and you have to work at it. So everything else we do is just a supplement to the chiropractic adjustment. That means the way we rest, what we eat, the way we exercise, all of these things are supplements to the central nervous system. There's always a price. There's a price, there's a reward, or there's a consequence. Every single day we are making a choice. And by not making a choice, you're making a choice. So we either choose, sometimes there might be a price involved, it's time. But the reward of that is we're gonna have better health. If we don't spend the time to focus on our health, the consequence is poor health. The same over here, it may cost a little more money, maybe you're doing preventative treatments, proper nutrition and supplements, but the result is you're gonna have lower health costs, lower surgery costs, lower medication costs. So in the long run, it's way, way cheaper. If you don't, health costs go up. People do heroic type, life-saving type techniques, and they're very, very expensive. We focus on bad habits. You put effort, energy, you have to be committed. But as a result, we have better memory, better lifestyle. It slows the aging process. Of course, we're happier. Over here, the consequences are we end up with poor memory, low energy, increased aging, and of course, limited life and activities. So it really comes down to lifestyle. So one of my favorite pictures of all is always this. I love showing this picture. Both of these women are 80 years old. Now, neither one of them were born like that. The difference between these two women is their lifestyle choice. This woman most likely waited and waited and waited for the sick care approach. Once she had a symptom, she probably decided to go that one decided to go and get treatment. This woman obviously made a choice. She's been exercising, she's been eating right, she's been sleeping right, she's getting chiropractic adjustment. Obviously you can tell which one is enjoying their life. Health for life, an ounce of chiropractic is worth pounds and pounds or millions of dollars of cure and different types of treatment. So I want to make sure we invite everybody. This was the first session. I am going to answer a question here in just a second, but next week, the part 2 is going to be on essential nutrition. Not just, what kind of foods you can eat, but what kind of supplements do you need? What do you need to avoid? Because nutrition is essential for your body to produce hormones, to repair tissues, to keep us healthy. So we'll be talking about that next week. So what I want to do first of all is there's a question that's been coming up quite frequently recently. So this is the first question we're going to answer, and that is, what about women that are pregnant? Whether they're initially pregnant or whether they're 4 months pregnant or at the very end term of their pregnancy, is it safe and do you recommend chiropractic? And and I can say unequivocally, yes, it is definitely safe. I highly recommend it. It doesn't mean you have to get treated again every day, but it is throughout your pregnancy. It's a great benefit to you and to the baby. So I want to say thanks for everybody. Please, if you have questions, send them into the clinic, email or text. We'll bring those up at the end of our next session as we talk about nutrition. So these will be coming out. I hope to see all of you, some of you in the past I haven't seen in a while, but look forward to welcoming you back. And until then, we'll see you. Thanks.